Okay, can you hear me? Hey, okay, so yeah, so I'm back on. I'm like I said, guys, just bear with me. I'm gonna get this live thing. I think I'm gonna start going live probably every day for an hour. So y'all have any questions, drop them in this little chat here. More than likely it'll be around this time when I'm making cold calls and shit, just trying to get some business done. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to pay some bills. So again, you're a land wholesaler, you're interested in wholesaling land. I always recommend keep your day job. Do not go gung ho and quit just because you close one deal, two deals. Stick with what you're doing. Carve out some time, during the week. That could mean you carving out maybe like when you take your lunch break. Instead of you just sitting around not doing nothing, you can be eating and on the phone, making calls, like this. On the weekend, Saturday, if you're not doing anything, I don't know everybody's situation. From maybe 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. you can make calls. I do not recommend calling on Sundays. I've done that and got cussed out literally like maybe three, four, five calls in a row. So I just decided to not call on Sunday. People just for some reason they don't like being called on Sunday. So like I said, a good plan of action if you do have a W-2 job, um, and you want to wholesale land and you know what I'm saying, you're putting the effort in, I would say carve out some time during the week, right? So like if you work a 9 to 5, I believe the laws behind cold calling allow you to call up until like 7 p.m. So from if you get off at 5, from 5:30 to 7, you should be making phone calls, right? Monday through Friday. If you're off on weekends, 11 a.m. to maybe 3 or 4 p.m., you should be making phone calls. So if you have expendable income or something like that, and you can maybe build a list out in your free time and then have somebody make the calls for you and those hot leads, some people who are interested, maybe you only call those people as opposed to like just randomly calling, seller like, hey, how you doing? My name is Savion. Just saw you own this lot here on 5555 Belford Street. Are you open to entertaining an offer on that lot? And basically you're doing that versus, hey, how you doing, Mr. Jonathan? This is Savion giving you a call. My colleague Sanji gave me your information, said you were open to entertaining an offer on a lot. Does that sound about right? And then go into whatever your pitch is. Okay, cool. Well, I just kind of want to go over some, few things with you, just to see, if we'd be a good fit to, maybe get this deal going. And then at that point, you kind of just go over the notes from the conversation, right? You own the lot outright. If we were to kind of come to an agreement on a price, would there be anything to worry about if we were to open title? Like, are there any long lost cousins who may be on the deed? On the title? Are there any memorandums? And memorandums, I don't think I need to do a whole long, like regular YouTube video about it. If you're on live, I'm gonna tell you, like, so if you see a memorandum on a title report, that just means that this seller has basically tried to sell the property in the past and maybe bullshitted the wholesalers. Typically they're wholesalers. So let's say if you get a property under contract and the seller starts not responding, right? You open the title, your seller's not responding, but you have the property under contract. As long as you're in that legal date, like that legal time frame, you can go to the county and file a memorandum for 5, 10, whatever thousand. So if they, and not saying you're going to get that, what if the one, so basically what that does is, let's say the seller's not responding to you and months go by and somebody like you or me calls this seller and they're like, yeah, I want to sell it. And then we go and open title. we open title on the Schedule C of the title report. It says memorandum from USA land buyers, and you're like, "What is memorandum?" So you'll have to skip trace, find that LLC, call them, and let them know, "Hey, I'm trying to buy this property. I see you have a memorandum. You know, like, could you release this memorandum? Because you're gonna have to pay for it 9 times out of 10. Some people, they don't care. They might just release it, but for the most part, you're gonna have to pay. So it's important, to ask those questions up front, because when you're marketing these properties to these builders, and these title issues come up, and like you don't know anything about it, it just makes you look less professional. So the more information that you know up front, and you can be straightforward with the seller, and then that'll help you out when it comes to negotiation with price, because it's like, hey, look, this title is going to be a little murky. It's going to take me some time, and I don't want to waste my time if you're not serious about it. So you can either bring the price down, right, to justify, just like, look, this is going to take me a little longer. Unfortunately, I'll have to, come down $5,000, right? Just because if you have to clear title issues, like when I'm doing airship affidavits have to be filled out. There was two memorandums filed on this lot that I have to get cleared. Now it's worth it because the deal is a $25,000 deal, so it's definitely worth it. So this is going to take me more than likely about maybe a month and a half to get this stuff cleared up. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely worth it. But if you don't ask those questions up front, you just get a deal under contract, and you don't have any idea if the seller owes taxes on it, if there's liens on the property, if they actually own the property. You have to ask all those questions. When it comes to like the utilities and stuff like that, yes, you can go ahead and check for that. Obviously, you want to know if it's in a flood zone or not. A lot of that stuff the builders are going to look at anyway. But 9 times out of 10, like if you have a property within city limits, there's going to be city sewer, city water, city electricity, right? So you can just assume that. Um, Flood zone, go to the FEMA flood map. If you have access to your city's multiple listing service, and that's what the realtors use in your market, right? If you can just type the address in, and it'll let you know if it's in a flood zone or not. So I mean, those are going to be the most important things with land. And yeah, I mean, just right now, as a in this business, if you have been active, it is a little bit tougher to get deals done. Builders are wanting lots a little cheaper, just because like homes are sitting a little longer because we are in a buyer's market. Okay, so, just every day you should be trying to learn something, and the best learning is by doing, getting on the phone. I was talking to a guy today. He does projects out in College Station, and for those of you, maybe from Texas or familiar, that's where Texas A&M is. He builds homes out there. He used to flip, and in his opinion, I'm not saying it's true or whatever, but he's been flipping and doing new construction for about 15 years, and in his opinion, the flip market is dead. It's right now the flip market is just is tough. You got to kind of go out and create your own deals, from what he was saying, and ground up construction where you're just buying the dirt, doing all the soft cost stuff, right? Which is permitting and replatting and all that, and then build, so that way you can you have your options, right? So and what I mean by that is, like, you want to look at, okay, how much money I'll make, right? Obviously, if I build this property, put it on the market, and it sells. Ideally, that's what builders want to do. Now, you have on the opposite side, you can do a BTR, which is a build to rent. So you're building with the intention to refinance out of that construction loan into a long-term perm debt. And that's going to be a 30-year mortgage, right? And then at that point, you're just going to hold it as a rental until it makes sense to put it on the market to sell. And a lot of institutions and like institutional investors were buying up a lot of new builds, in 2022, 2023, and 2024, and putting them, on the market. Like the house that I live in right now was a new build that was bought by an institution, and paying rent. So you just got to keep your eye on it. Like, you never know what you don't know if you're not on the phones calling. And don't be super salesy. Just get on the phone, have a conversation, and really kind of put your thinking cap on, put your learning cap on, and just try to extract as much information as possible. And you have to ask questions. So, um, I, oh, this is Andrique Garcia. Hi, hi. um, you just, I mean, that's just what it is. It's just lather, rinse, repeat. This business is not hard. This, honestly, this business is for people that hustle. And that's why you see a lot of athletes get into, like the mortgage space, just real estate in general, sales. My biggest issue is everybody wants high price. Facts, facts, at that point, you just have to explain why your price is your price, what you're seeing in the marketplace. If they don't agree, follow up with them in the future. You got to move on. Don't fall in love with these deals. You got to move on. I've seen like 10K an acre on other places, like 50K. Yeah, I mean, different markets have different values. I'm pretty sure like Fayetteville, Arkansas, land value is going to be a lot different than Fort Worth, Texas. You know what I mean? So that's, I mean, that's common. But but yeah, like it's just this business is for hustlers. This business is for the people who are willing to make $150 a day. That's where the money is going to come. Once you get the money, like, like usually you have your ramp up period, which is like this, the beginning period. When you start making the phone calls, you should be 125, $150 a day. Once you start getting the traction, you know what I mean, getting some solid leads, making offers, you're going to have some offers get declined, you're going to have some deals go under contract, get the title, fall out, but then you're going to have some that go through and close, and you're going to get, like I have mine, you're going to get your check. Like this is this was in 2023. I had to get this frame. Like I said, I started wholesaling in 2023. That was a $20,000 check I made in 1 month. So that keeps me motivated while I'm working. It keeps me motivated. Like it's possible, it's possible, it's possible. So once you do that, you invest that money back into the business to get better systems, better processes, maybe add in on a team member, something like that. So that way you can get more opportunities. You get inbound leads now. You're not just relying on outbound. And you're just doing that every day because at the same time, you do, if like the goal should really be to get to between 8 to 10 grand a month. 8 to 10 grand a month, you're six figures. You're at 10 grand, you're north of six figures, right? So that should just be like, you got to have a goal to keep you motivated. You have to have your stuff written down. This shouldn't feel like, oh, I have to do this. You should be like grateful that you're able to make money this way. Like I'm sitting here at home right now working remote. I have a W-2 that I work remote, and I own my land business that I'm doing, and they're kind of congruent. They feed off of one another. So when I hold, like if I have a land deal under contract, I always let that builder know, hey, I'm a private lender as well. I can fund the vertical construction once the permitting and stuff is done. Let's go over, like your track record. What's your FICO? Uh, do you have plans already in place for this project? Let me go ahead and get you some terms and get you a term sheet on this. So now, just, not only did I make a wholesale fee, now I'm getting paid on the back end, as the lender for it. So, it's just, if you're a hustler, this business is for you. If you're looking for some like get rich quick, oh, I can just do one deal a month and, minimum work, this is not going to be that business. It's going to take you a lot of calls, to get your deal under contract, to get your first deal. Since I've seen real estate investors move to markets they do a lot of deals in, would you recommend? Um, with land, man, it's virtual. I wouldn't recommend getting up and just going into a new market just based on you do business there. Like with wholesaling land, you can do deals all over the country. You don't have to necessarily be there. So me personally, I wouldn't recommend that, Jason. Boss lady bad 9279. When given offers, should we act as if we're just a secretary and we must hear back from the finance team? That's a great question. So when you're giving out an offer, you can kind of just let it know, like you can let them know. I wouldn't necessarily say secretary, but maybe just say, look, my clients are builders in the area. Um, I'm on the, my job is land acquisition. That's my job. My job is land acquisition. I work with a team of builders. I handle the land acquisition portion of it, and I would go that route. I wouldn't say necessarily I'm the secretary, but yeah, just you say, hey, I'm part of the land acquisitions team, and that's just what it is. When you give your like you're interested in it, just say, hey, look, I need to speak. I'm not a builder. I need to speak, go over the numbers, and then I can give you a call back with our best offer. And they should respect that, right? You can kind of tailor it to how you want it to go. Like, hey, I don't want to waste anybody's time. I'm sure you're a busy person. I'm a busy person. I make about 100 of these, 200, 150 of these calls per day. So I definitely want to make the most of my time. Can I give you a call back either today at 4 or tomorrow at 10 a.m.? That's how you control the conversation. That's like a little sales tactic. You never want to ask them, when's the best time to give you a call back? You want to say, hey, look, if right now I'm Central Standard Time, it's 2:27 p.m. If I'm on the phone with a seller and I got to evaluate the property first, look, let me go ahead and evaluate this. Let me get with my team and I can give you a call back either today at 5:30 p.m. or I have time tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Which of those time works best for you? If they say tomorrow 10:30 a.m., okay, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, I have you on the books for 10:30 a.m. tomorrow. Is this your cell phone number? Okay, an hour before, I'm going to shoot you a text message to make sure we're still good to go. And then that way, it's just gives it just like it it helps you make sure that they're serious about the conversation and just kind of let them know, okay, tomorrow 10:30 a.m. give you a call, we'll go over the offer, and if we can, if we're good to go, I'll email you over the agreement. Don't say contract. I'll email you over the agreement. We'll go ahead and get title open, and then we'll take everything else from there. Does that sound good? Boom. All right, you got you essentially an appointment in the books. um I think I don't have any more questions, but yeah, guys. So I'll be getting on live every day. I think it's easier because like the thing I usually when I make my YouTube videos, like I have to I don't really do a lot of editing because it's just really nothing to edit that much. But like I think the live is going to be the best bet for me. And wow, you're in the lending space as a beginner. How should I present myself to lenders that could help me move deals along credentials? Yeah, so it depends. Like if you're trying to do deals, like you have a deal in the contract and okay, all right, so I'm good now. All right, so Jason, look, to answer your question, it depends. Like, are you, if you can answer this, and I can give you an answer, but are you talking about like speaking to lenders as a broker or speaking to lenders as a potential borrower? Then, boss lady, what about the sellers who say I don't work with wholesalers or assignments? Then you got to move on. A simple question. I mean, simple answer. Like, just move on. There's plenty of other people. If you have a seller who who does say that wholesalers or assignments, then more than likely, like they're I wouldn't say savvy, but they understand real estate. So, but Jason, I'll kind of just go ahead and answer your question from both perspectives. So, if you're a broker, if you're basically working with clients who do fix and flips, they do new construction, or they're buy and hold investors, and they allow you to go out and find terms for them, make sure that you have the basics to get a term sheet. Make sure you understand the deal. Don't just get the information from the client and then just try to go shop lenders. Understand the deal. Like if it's a fix and flip, understand like, okay, look, what's your client doing? Are they adding square footage? Are they adding bedrooms? Was there any fire damage, any flood damage? If you can find comps and send comps along with the request for a term sheet, that'd be great. We're going to need basically what the entity of the client is, right? The LLC, because we're business to business lenders. What's the address of the property? What's the purchase price? What's the expected close date? What's the rehab budget? What do they expect to sell it for? What's your client's credit score? How many members are in the entity, the business entity? like how many deals have they done similar to this over the past 36 months or 3 years, right? Those are very important questions. And a lender's going to ask you that. So you may as well have like a cheat sheet so that way you can get the answers to all that. So when you send like a request to somebody like me, I can read through that, put the terms together, and send you a term sheet within 10 minutes. So a lot of times you run into brokers who, like, you'd be surprised. People, like, a lot of people aren't really good. They're not good. Like, I've dealt with brokers who are like, they don't understand the deal. They have the numbers wrong, and it makes it hard to really kind of underwrite because I can't put terms together on, oh, it may be this, it may be that. No, I need to know this because, if you tell me your client has a 750 credit score, and then we get term sheet signed and applications, and I get these docs in, and I go ahead and do background and I pull credit, and I see that they have a 640, the terms are going to change, right? Or if you tell me that your client is, oh, he's super experienced, this person's a heavy hitter, they've done 10 plus deals over the last 3 years, and then I go search up, I go ask for their track record, and I get an SCREO report, and they've only done three, that changes the pricing drastically. So you might go from, on a fix and flip, for 10 deals, you might go from 90% leverage to now you have to go down to 85%. You might go from 7.5% on the interest rate. Now got to bring you up, to 8.75. So all that matters. So I hope that answers your question. Um, let's see. Gotcha. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. I'm here to help. I mean, it's just straightforward every day. I do this every day, every single day. So, and I recommend, like, if you are a hustler, and you have some sort of sales background, and you have an interest in real estate, find private lending companies to work with, and be honest. Like, look, I'm trying to learn. Like, especially if you can find one that offers you a pretty good base, come in, hustle. If they provide you with leads, that's all the better. Okay, yeah. So as a borrower, let's say if you haven't done any deals, right? Everybody starts from somewhere. You want to make sure you have your business entity set up, your LLC. That means you will be able to provide the operating agreement, um, the articles, uh, the articles of organization, your IRS EIN number, and your certificate of filing. Make sure you have that, right? um, your business bank account, personal bank accounts, and stuff like that set up. Um, Obviously, you want to have a deal, right? Like, you don't want to just kind of shop terms, but, hey, look, I have this deal under contract. Here's the address. This is the purchase price. You want to have your construction, I mean, your rehab budget. If you're doing fix and flips, your rehab budget, you want to have that filled out in Excel format. They have rehab budgets where they have the line items, so that way, when you get the property appraised, the appraiser can kind of give you accurate value for your property. You want to make sure your insurance and stuff is in place. Your GC has the proper insurance. You have an agreement with your GC, especially beginning out. You want to go ahead and send that. Your bank statements. So in terms of like proof of funds, just to give you high level what a lender is going to look for, you're going to have, and this is going to be across personal bank accounts, your business bank account. If you have like a brokerage account, maybe like stocks and stuff like that, it's typically going to be whatever the closing cost is going to be, plus 10% of your budget, plus 6 months fully drawn on your interest, right? And 6 months fully drawn means fully drawn on your budget. So, like, let's say if it's 3,000, is let's say $2,000 is fully drawn, right? It's like when you fully draw your budget and your property is fully rehabbed and it's on the market, you're going to be paying interest fully drawn. So let's say that's 2,000 just for numbers. So 6 times 2 is 12. Let's say your closing cost is 10,000. So that's 12,000 plus 10,000 plus, and let's say you have $100,000 rehab budget. 10% of that is 10,000. So you'll need to show $32,000 liquid. Between either, all of it can be in the business account. You may have half in a business account and half in a personal account, but that's what you're going to be. So, like, just remember this. This goes across the board. 6 months fully drawn, 6 months fully drawn, plus closing cost, plus 10% of your rehab budget. And the same goes for your construction, but like if you're doing ground up as well. So just kind of think about that. And then also, being that it's your first deal, they're more than likely going to want to see that your GC has the experience rehabbing properties like this. So maybe put together a GC resume, your obvious the name of your GC's company, first name, last name, email, phone number, maybe some like a link to maybe a website, addresses to other properties that they've rehabbed. All that stuff is going to help you. Now, you can't expect to get the best terms your first deal, especially brand new starting out. But as you complete projects and pay off and you build the relationship with the lender, those terms will get better over time. So, I hope that answered your question. And, but yeah, guys. So, let me see here. I said I was gonna be making calls. I know y'all don't want to see me sit here and make calls. So just in between, yes, bar, but yeah, just in between calls like this, I'll just hop on and go live. I think that'd be a lot easier. And then if y'all want to ask questions live, I can answer it. So, but yeah, I'm going to get back to work. I'll probably get on a little later, maybe, but tomorrow for sure. So, if y'all do have any questions, go drop them, under some videos that I release, or write them down and hop back on my live tomorrow. So, you guys take it easy. And if you have started already, go out, close some deals.